things are looking here on this end. In addition to the bit rates need to be the monitor too. Hello, everybody. I guess for this I should probably be able to see the chat. I think that's going to be the best way to do it. But I'm hoping that I can just wing it anyway. So this should be minimized all the way over here, Houston. I'm going to read air-to-ground transcripts to myself as we go here. So we're just playing around with the algorithm today a little bit. Does putting the word crime 3 times into the title, description, and content result in more widespread reach? People like the word crime, and I think that if you look at the description of this video, it's really only a reference to Donut Operator. Because Donut Operator has a segment reviewing police body cam shootings. And not to get too sidetracked by Donut Operator or anything, but I like Donut Operator. But his videos are heavily censored, which is understandable. So if you're actually trying to get an accurate breakdown of a police shooting, it's really not the best way to do it. Or at least a raw one where you can actually see what's going on. So it's a lot of blurring. Where were we? Anyway, he does this thing where he'll say, crime. And it always kind of appealed to me. I thought it was funny. I don't know if that's just because I'm a degenerate or something, but... And I've been watching his channel for a long time. I don't remember when I found him. I think maybe about 2019. So let's talk... the differences between federal crime and state crime or local crime. It's funny that a lot of people that I meet will end up thinking that I'm like some kind of elite person because I had the FBI at my house when I was 17. But the funny part of that is that getting the FBI to come bother you is easier than most people would believe, and it isn't really much of a difficult accomplishment, though the accolades outweigh the work required. It's sort of a cheap and easy glory. The camera's in a weird spot. The differences between the, adversaries that you're going to face doing either federal crime or a more localized crime is quite notable. The way that I was approached by the FBI and the way that I was dealt with by the FBI was very, very different from the way that the Orange County Sheriff's Department dealt with me. I like the FBI, but they're scarier. They're a lot scarier, actually, the FBI. Because they're kind of on another level of like of sophistication or severity. It's like a level up. The OCSD will come get you for anything, The FBI only cares if there's something in it for them. In my case, something in it for them was easy just because I was doing anonymous hacktivism, and so it makes a political point that they have to basically clamp down on. Or the other option that can really get you hit by the FBI is large volumes of money, and that wasn't my thing. So I never had that problem with the FBI. But the OCSD is funnier. The OCSD is like, they're actually like a ragtag bunch of cowboys with extremely high-tech weaponry and no regard for anyone but themselves. What is this? Oh, thanks for the shout. Earlier I got more books. Oh, thank you, Polly Walnuts. Yeah, great book you sent, by the way. I loved it. I am not in the corner of these people who are trashing on Jim Huddle at all. I liked it so much I sent him a friend request on Facebook. I don't know if he's going to accept it. But I really liked him. I mean, yeah, the only thing that I'm critical, because I read that book in a day. The only thing I'm critical of in it was all the chapters dedicated to other offenders. Like, I came to this book to read about Earons and Joseph DeAngelo. I don't care about Ted Bundy. I don't care about, Ed Kemper or all these other guys. I don't care about them. I'm here to read about Earons and DeAngelo. I'm a DeAngelo researcher. Joe telling his daughters to put firecrackers in mailboxes is wild. Yeah, it really surprises me that he would do something like that, because you got to remember, when you're doing what DeAngelo was doing, you have to worry for the rest of your life. There is no, like, in my case, I'm a former criminal, and I can come on here and talk about crime with you guys because there's a statute of limitations to everything I did, so I can't even get in trouble now to come out here. But for DeAngelo, if he has one little run-in with any law enforcement agency that may or may not take his DNA. I mean, do you get your DNA sampled for encouraging your daughters to blow up your neighbor's mailboxes? I wouldn't be surprised. I had a friend that got caught with fireworks or whatever, and they gave him explosives charges. And that, of course, is charged as a felony. And so there's a very realistic possibility he could have been charged with a felony for that, and they could have, But I just really liked Jim Huddle's book. And people were really hard on him. They were like, oh, he doesn't know much, and that's why he had to pad his book with all the other killer information, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, just, guys, give him a break. Jim Huddle's cool, dude. I'd love to talk to him. If Jim Huddle ever wants to come on this show, you absolutely, I don't know if I don't have any money to give him or anything. But if you want to come on here and talk DeAngelo with me, that would be really cool. Crazy Yo, for a while, people were threatening Jack Gray, who wrote... Oh, we were theorizing. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you why Jack Gray is not Earons. I agree with you with the people online who think that Jack Gray has a very creepy reading style, and there's something disturbing to be said about the content of Hot Prowl. But there's a glaring error in the account of the Domingo Sanchez double homicide that's given by Jack Gray, that makes it clear to me that he's not Earons, because that's not what happened at Domingo Sanchez. We've been over what happened to Domingo Sanchez on this channel before, and you guys know I have my 6-part hypothesis of exactly how that whole sequence of events went down, and it all makes at least logical sense. And what's recounted by Jack Gray and Hot Prowl is not. I think people are just quick to think everybody's Earons. Realistically. They think everything is Earons. And the fact that the Sacramento Sheriff's Department and California Department of Justice hasn't given us certain information has created this vacuum where speculation is infinitely possible and very, very difficult to discount. Could it be D'Angelo? Sure could. Show me the DNA. That's where you have to be like that with this case. If you want to be sane, I think, is anytime someone, hey, what about this case? Be like, do you have the DNA? Because you might be right. I mean, he could have done anything at this point. He's such a prolific offender. I think people are just quick to think every unsolved crime is Euron's. What's it? I haven't emailed her in 5 years. Oh, I got an email address for his niece. Who? Niece who? Jack Gray's niece? Or, whose niece? Oh, I need to get water. Wouldn't it be cool to have Jim Huddle come on this fucking show? That would be so legit. We'll see if he accepts my friend request. Then if he does, I can be like, hey, by the way, I run the most banned Prowler Online channel. I might take that caption off. Oh, Joe's niece. Huh. That's cool. What does this say? She used to come on Reddit. She would argue with Brad sometimes. All for the nephew, Brad, Bassman. Just what a fascinating period of time that was between 1986 and 2018, when D'Angelo was just out there running around, living his life and doing his thing, and he had this family and everything was normal, and obviously, the case was being pursued, I think, to the ends of the earth. That's one of those things. It was such a great job everybody did in just pursuing that and just hounding that thing down and never giving up on Euron's. It was because of the DNA. If we had DNA like that in Zodiac, I wouldn't be giving up in Zodiac. And it's not like, oh, I'm giving up. You know, if there's new information, something new comes out, we can talk about it, of course. And I'll look at it and figure out what's going on with it. But just that, to have that pristine DNA profile that they had with EAR, I think gave people a lot of hope, and it kept them going. And we don't have anything like that in Zodiac, of course, and we don't have that in the I-70 killer. But everybody did a good job, you know. And I'm actually really pleased with how few suspects and theories there were online. There were schools of thought in EAR. It wasn't like every single person had their own fucking ridiculous idea. You know? That's how it is with Zodiac. Zodiac is at the point where every single person has their own fucking ridiculous idea. That's a pretty bad state to be in. Because where do you even begin with that? And you don't have a DNA profile. It's a shame. I think a DNA profile of the Zodiac exists, but someone's got to find it. And the effort is not there. I don't like the positioning of the camera relative to the monitor. Wasn't this stream supposed to be about federal crime? Let's get back to that. There were certain things that, like, that you could do as a street criminal to make those crimes qualify for the pursuit of federal agents. And some of those things were pretty easy. A lot of times involves computers. Because everything is state lines, guys. So if you want to do a federal crime, the easiest way to do it is to use a computer. I'm not encouraging this. Just pointing out. And so as a kid, that was easy to do. I should plan streams more and do presentations. I have one planned, but it takes so long to put it together. I was going to do a PowerPoint on Billy Brossman, but I think I've hit that whole thing to death. That's another situation where it either is him or it's not. I think that the evidence or the indicators are very, 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 very high that Billy Brossman was killed by the I-70 killer. Can I prove it? Sadly, no. But this is what you guys get on New Cokes compared to like other true crime. Guys, have you seen all my a lot of you, if you're here, like you know my reasonings of why Brossman was killed by the I-70 killer point for point. Maybe I should do a refresher stream on it and just go bang, but I've covered it, And I still won't say that like I've proven it. And certain true crime channels they'll be like, I've proved this. Here's mine, and they have a weaker case than I have that Brossman's killed by the I-70 killer. But totally, I think he was. And the Great Beer Cans experiment that I did like a month ago or 2 months ago was basically there's two things to me that are the nail in the coffin that indicate that Billy Brossman was killed by the I-70 killer. The first one is that Tim Hickman, who saw the I-70 killer in 1992, says, yes, that's the same guy. That's major, especially because I consider Tim Hickman to be very credible, level-headed, rational guy. Point two is when I did the Great Beer Cans experiment and I measured that offender's height and he came out at 5'8". And we know the I-70 killer is 5'7" to 5'9", according to witness descriptions. So to have the Brossman shooter smack dab in the middle of that, among all the other stuff, it's looking like an I-70 case. I wish that law enforcement would release the jig. Oh man, will it hurt them to release that thing? I need to talk to Detective Rhodes. We need to have a discussion. Because I want to be like, hey, what damage is this really going to do to the case if you release the footage of the jig that was performed by Billy Brossman's murderer? Because I do totally see its value as holdback. This is not one of those situations where I'm like, this is bullshit, release the holdback, blah, blah, blah. I'm okay with it completely. However, is it possible that someone else will recognize that jig? Here's the gamble that you're taking. If this guy is a serial killer and he does a celebratory jig of some kind every time he kills somebody, there's a very, very high probability that celebratory jig is part of a very ritualistic signature for that person and that no one else has ever seen him perform that jig in their life. So if you release that jig to the public saying, hey, has anyone ever seen a guy dance like this? It might, no one may have ever seen him do it. Or it's also possible that the jig itself isn't, distinct enough because we don't know what it is. Only law enforcement knows what it is, the jig. But if it's a distinct jig that, is the only he would do, then that's one thing. But if it's like, something that anyone would do, I don't know what qualifies as a jig. I don't perform jigs, but there's a jig in this case, and I would like to see it. I would like to have a discussion with the right people in the I-70 case and say, hey, is this going to hurt us to release this jig? And of course, who am I to be invited to that room? But I will have you know that I did the Great Beer Cans experiment and I proved the offender is 5'8". Which is saying something, because over there on the Web Sleuths forums, these people think he's 6 feet tall. He's not 6 feet tall. I measured him. He's 5'8". We're gonna get this bastard. I'm passionate about I-70 because I think he's still out there, and we're gonna get his ass. But we need people to look at the Brosman footage. The Brosman is like the crack. It's the key to the case. It's like the Presidio cab. I think if someone were to ask me, like, what are the areas that we need to be focusing on, like really dialing in on in the cases that you research, I would say in Zodiac it's the Presidio taxi cab. Like, get the fucking skin cells out of that cab, get some kind of genetic material from, even if it's a mixed profile, and start doing the legwork on separating those donors, ruling people out and stuff, or eliminating, suspects from that DNA. And it might be a severely. I don't even think it's that mixed. I really don't, guys. I'm a front seater, so I think Zodiac sat in the front seat of the taxi cab, and I don't think anyone else sat in the front seat of that taxi cab that day. So you might have some cells from Paul Stein. You'll have cells from Paul Stein. You'll have probably cells from the EMTs, because the EMTs, when they found Paul Stein, his head was in the floorboard. And so they rolled him over onto his back, onto the back seat, and then began attempting to, check for signs of life while he was laying back like this. That tells me that they didn't even really get in the front seat either. So only Zodiac and Stein's DNA should be in there if you can find it. So I think that's a key to that case. And then in the case of the I-70, it's the Brosman homicide. And that Brosman, like, this needs to be gone over more thoroughly. Brosman. That shouldn't be an unsolved case. And if it isn't the I-70 killer, okay, fine. But it shouldn't by itself be an unsolved case. Brosman. It's too... We have... The CCTV in that case is too clear. And, like, if law enforcement really has a POI for that case, he either is the guy in the footage or he's not. And if he was in Terre Haute, this has got to be a solvable case, They don't have CCTV from the outside of the gas. Oh, he probably parked in the neighborhood, huh? That's how I-70 worked. It's too much to go over all the time. But I do have a lot of hope with I-70 case. I think it's a totally fucking solvable case. And then because they're doing it the wrong... Like, okay, remember, when did that task force convene? 2021? So, guys, Iran's getting captured, the way that he was captured, really made a difference in the way that criminal investigations are resolved in the modern era. Investigative genetic genealogy is the whole new fucking thing. And if you have DNA, investigative genetic genealogy is a fucking godsend. Because you will solve the case if you have a DNA profile. So that's the precedent that Joseph DeAngelo, his arrest set, was that if we have your DNA, we will get you. And so when that task force convened in 2021 on I-70, they were operating in that post-Iran's arrest world where everything is solved by genetic genealogy. That's the way of the world now. Even fucking Idaho 4 was solved with investigative genetic genealogy. All murder basically is being solved with investigative genetic genealogy nowadays. Now, there's still the old school conventional shit happening, whatever, that people saw. People kill someone they know and they fucking identify the suspect. You've seen Forensic Files, okay? But as far as these, like, mysterious serial stranger killer murders and, like, sexual assault cases, it's all getting cracked with IgG now. So when the task force convened and they thought, okay, well, let's tackle this I-70 thing again, all they did was throw a bunch of random items in for DNA testing, because that's the world that they're operating. They're like, that's how we're going to solve this. We're going to get the DNA. But there might be another way. And I think that the way is the Brosman case. And that if you solve the Billy Brosman homicide, you probably will solve I-70. Where did he get the Irma key? Dude, this whole case is so fucking weird. Is it an Irma key? I think it is. So what's up with the Intratec Scorpion? I don't fucking know. How can they not tell a difference between an Intratec Scorpion and an Irmaworky ET22? It blows my mind. Why is that a question in this case? It should be very obvious whether or not those casings came out of a Scorpion or a fucking Irmaworky. The Irmaworky's a German target shooting pistol from like fucking 1917 or earlier, you know. The fucking Scorpion is like some Matrix gun that came out in like the 90s. You can't tell the difference between those ejector marks? Yeah, I don't know, man. And the fact that there's Jeweler's Rouge present on those casings tells me that he's the guy who's carrying the Irmaworky. So where does the Intratec Scorpion thing come from? I really don't know. But yeah, I don't. Whoever killed Billy Brossman is. That's not his first time doing it. So where is his other crimes? Where is this guy? Who is this guy? Let's get him. He's still alive. He's too young to be dead in that video. Unless he got hit by a car or something like that. You know, or died in an unrelated robbery. I think we would know about it, though. I wish I had the newspapers.com access that Murder Inc. has. Because I'd be like, hey, if I could do what Murder Inc. does, I would just be pulling up fucking I-70 gas station murders all day. Or, store clerk murders. Because I think that... Oh, man, what a weird situation. Who the fuck was that guy, man? Who the fuck was he? I think the CCTV in the Brossman case stopped him from killing again, though. I think he realized the world that he was now in. And that world is completely dominated by cameras being everywhere. Wasn't that way in 1992, but then when he struck again in 2001, he realized, oh fuck, everything's on camera now, I can't do it anymore. It's like he goes into that Brossman gas station, no mask, no gloves, like nothing, like that's weird. Who the fuck is that guy? I think we're gonna get him. I can't wait to see his fucking mugshot, man. The I-70 killer. I have some confidence. It's getting... True crime is, like, hard to be interested in. Because you want to know so badly who it is. And you can't do anything but just wait. And I come up with pretty decent ideas of like little ways we can maybe catch some of these guys, and you write it to law enforcement, you tell them, and nobody cares, and they're just like, yeah, we just have to wait. It's like, fuck, man, because the real barrier is all the money and time. I got a solution that works, and they're like, well, we don't have the time or money for that. Well, fuck. Give me the MVAC, and I will go to Paul Stein's Cab for free. Did you not? I don't know why I didn't dawn on me before. Look, SFPD, if you give me the equipment, and, maybe let me bring some, like a consultant, or you can overwatch me or whatever, I will do the MVAC on Paul Stein's Cab for free. See? It was not going to work. No one's going to let me do that. So you have to just wait. Hard, isn't it? But it's going to be a good day when we see I-70 Killer's mugshot on TV. Or on the news. And he's going to look just like the Brossman Killer. Watch. Well, this stream took a different turn. So Zodiac's been in the news lately, huh? Every time Zodiac gets in the news, it'll be like some stupid fucking thing. It's the same thing with... Okay, remember when Dan Greider claimed that he had DB Cooper's parachute? And it was like a news story for like a week? Every time one of these guys comes up in the modern news era, like the people around me will be like, hey, did you hear that they said they solved Zodiac or they solved DB Cooper? And it's like, no, they fucking didn't. You would know. If they solve those cases, if Zodiac gets solved, you will know. You won't need a question mark at the end of an article about Gary Francis Post to leave you with the wonder. Has he been identified? No, stop. When it's on FBI.gov press releases. And then the Wikipedia will change within an hour. So what you're going to get is you're going to get Department of Justice and FBI. Probably Department of Justice first. Hold on. You know, you're going to get Department of Justice first. And then the Wikipedia will change. Reconnection. So then anyway, so people will be like, oh, did you hear they solved this case? No, they didn't. What? What did she say? Newport Alana, what? Anyway. Whoa. Oh, so I asked ChatGPT to make the Presidio Heights sketch with a larger face. I can't remember if I saved it, though. Let's see if I saved it. I don't think I did. Anyway, yeah, I don't think I saved it. But it ended up blowing it up like a giant balloon, so I had to keep telling ChatGPT to make it a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller, a little bit smaller. Look at this. I don't know anything about this case, but I saw an interview with the guy who did this sketch. Isn't that incredible? He must have cut his hair, you know. But that's rare. That rarely happens. Stand by. Let's go through my personal composite sketch binder. This one. Oh, fuck. By golly. Okay. There, that's what I think is like the. That's what I think he looks like. Maybe the nose could be better. Anyway, this configuration is not good anymore. We're streaming right now.